Okie dokie. So this is your pregnancy yoga session. We are going to get ourselves comfortable. We're going to bring in extra blankets, cushions, pillows, whatever makes sense for you to have some extra support. And depending on where and when you're doing this, you might want to put the heating on and get yourself a little bit warmer for the beginning of the session. And you can always change things around as we move through it. So you're going to come to lying down. You're going to come into your most comfortable relaxation position. I'm just going to head back to my mat to come with you. So we're just going to come to, more than likely, a side lying position is going to be quite a comfortable one. You can sit here like I am, just seated on your hip, and then ready with those cushions or blankets at the ready around you. So I haven't got one. I'm just going to come down onto my elbow. I'm just going to ease down, and in doing so, I might just gently shift further away whilst I'm here before I'm down, and then ease myself down. And you might find that leaning back and maybe dropping your head back is comfortable. You might find that you want to just kind of ever so gently kind of scoop in, but wherever you are, you might find that it doesn't actually stay the same through this relaxation. You're going to come into an initial relaxation position, and you're just going to start breathing. So you might want a little openness through the chest, so you have that elbow back, or you have it onto your hip, that top leg or the hip, and you're closing the eyes for us to just begin that process of centering. So breathing in and breathing out. We're just very simply creating a really soft, rhythmical movement to the breath. We will all come to the session breathing a certain way, and then as we move through the session, hopefully we get to breathe a little bit fuller, a little bit wider, and just starting to open up that process to use the breath to help ease any tension in the body and also to support our movements as well. So taking the time to have a little walk through your body, see how you are feeling right now, and allowing yourself the time to settle into this position. I already mentioned that you might want to gently wiggle in this position, shift your weight forward or back, and that is true of any pose we come into or any movement pattern. You just get comfy, and you, as and when you feel it, you move and shift. But we're taking the time to create a slightly longer, a slightly wider, a slightly fuller version of your breath. So coming into this, breathing the inhale from the tips of the toes and just letting it kind of wash up through the body. As you get to the exhale, you kind of let that breath draw you down. And that's the nice cycle of the breath that we're going to keep coming back to. So anytime I gently push you in a direction we're not comfortable with, bring it back to the breath, bring it back to the centering, and just releasing and relaxing as you breathe. We're synchronizing the breath with movement, and at the moment it's just the movement of the breath through the body, but we will get on to moving the actual body soon enough. So we're breathing in and breathing out in a way that makes sense for you. So it could be inhaling and exhaling, inhaling through the nose, sorry, exhaling out through the mouth. It could be inhaling and exhaling through the nose. And it could be that you already have your eyes closed, or you now feel comfortable to do so. So when we close the eyes, we get to look inside, see how we are feeling, and just switch off all of those external senses. You're breathing for you, but you're also breathing to nourish your body, nourishing your baby as each new breath is presented to both you and your baby. So the inhales are really important. We want to bring that breath in, a lovely fresh breath coming in each and every time you are inhaling. Let that breath rise up through the body. And as you roll round and into the exhale, just sense that you are pushing that breath away. There could be this slightest slither of press, and in the sense of press, you are kind of forcing that breath away, but we are pushing it from the body. We are expelling all of that stale air. So the rhythm and the cycle of the breath is that rolling movement of the breath. You could have the minutest of little pauses each end of the spectrum. So the inhale will rise up and you can pause, before the exhale cascades down. And the same is true at the bottom here. It's a kind of valley and a mountain is a way to kind of visualize that breath. Inhale, rising up the mountain, pausing at the very top. Exhale, you let it cascade down. And then you just pause in the valley as you drive that breath up again. So whatever makes sense for you to have a little picture of the breath, either moving through the body or this little analogy that goes along with it. And in doing so, we just start to layer in pelvic floor engagement, along with a core engagement, along with a breath synchronization. So starting those layers, as and when it comes, perfect. If it never does, do not worry in the slightest. You still keep breathing the fullest breath that you possibly can, and the one that really makes sense to you. But putting another little visualization to it, if you can visualize the tentacles of an octopus as they are out and open, you then lift up and draw in. And it's a natural lift perhaps that makes sense for you to put it with the inhale, but ideally I'm putting it for you in your exhale. So inhale is lighter, it's freer, it's lovely fluid breath. Exhale breath has a little bit more oomph behind it. So you have a little bit more drawing in, you lift up and you just stay in that exhale as high and as strong as it makes sense for you. And then as you get into the next inhale, that's where it's soft again. So rolling circle of breath from one into the next with or without the pelvic floor. And you're really just deciding this for yourself as you're presented with that next breath. And as I mentioned, always listen to the body. If something doesn't work for you or it doesn't sit in the right sort of way or feel fluid, then just roll on to the next movement or the next breath. So keep your breath going. Keep it going in a slightly enhanced version where we're layering up the pelvic floor. We've got a little extra oomph for the core engagement, which just is baby lifting towards you or lifting up out of your pelvis, or finding that you're engaged down the side of your waist and the side of your bum. And it's wherever you're feeling it. If it feels good, you can just nudge yourself in that zone with the next breath that comes. So do about 5 or 6 of these where you're layering up each and every breath. It doesn't have to be that you're yanking or pushing yourself somewhere. If it's there, it's synced, perfect. So going with the flow, both with the breath and how you're feeling through the body is our key. And it's the key to the calm as well. So clearing the mind, relaxing the body, easing still, deeper still with that exhale breath, and just making these yours. So you're breathing a lovely full breath and the inhale matches that exhale. So don't worry if the pelvic floor isn't coming. Don't worry if you feel like it's too much, because the next breath is a whole new breath to try again. And having done those sort of 5 or 6, give yourself an extra layer of calm and ease coming from that rolling, soft, circular breath again, without the pelvic floor engagement, just you in the zone for the breathing in, the breathing out that makes sense for you. Once again, just remembering to release any tension through the forehead, releasing any tension down through the side, the temples, into the cheekbones, and definitely the jawline. If we can relax your jawline, it relaxes down into the pelvis, into the uterus, and we want to soften here. We want to really let go. So if I've added the pelvic floor engagement for you, here, soften the jaw to help relax and switch off the pelvic floor. So really important to know those differences for yourself and know a way that you can actually help as well. So breathing in and breathing out, just the regular, soft, fluid, easy breath now. And as and when you feel that you would like to, whether you're going to come up on your own without opening those eyes, or whether you'd like to gently open them here and then be able to just bring awareness to your room, then pop the hand down for a little bit more pressure into the floor. I split my legs and then the other hand is there to come around. So what we're going to do is just lift yourself up, and then here we're going to sit either on your heels. So this is a hero pose. It's a slightly modified version just because we're literally sitting on the heels, no more than that. Or you can sit in a mini hybrid position, and if you need to bring your cushions in, do that now, because you might sit in this hybrid position where one leg is in front and one is behind. So if we can do this, I'm not saying that everything I'm presenting to you is going to be ideal for you or comfortable, but sometimes this position of half and half, you feel supported with the leg here, but the one in front and the openness here creates that openness. So wherever you'd like to be, trying not to kind of release into a hunched position, but if you need to lean back a little bit, you could lean back and you can just let yourself have this open posture in front of you. And what we can also do is just gently move around here. So I'm not saying again that it's going to be the most comfortable, but you're going to ease. So I'm not pregnant, but as I ease to one side, I will pull on this side. As I ease and walk to the other side, I might gently be stretching through my hip flexor. So there's always softness and then there's a progression for where you want to be. So very simply, just taking yourself around in this particular little walk one way, walk the other. So you're always supported as you're going. You might end up, I'm not saying you want to push or pull the body, but it might naturally start to go a little deeper. So here I might get a thigh stretch, but you're just kind of doing a walking around kind of gentle undulating movement. So as I said, you might be here. I haven't lost the posture. I'm kind of rising out of these hands that are behind me. And this in itself, again, is a thigh stretch, opening the hip flexor, which is across the hip. And I'm just bringing maybe a little bit of my shoulder mobilization here. I could drop and hold. I could lift up. So here I've just tilted my head. And because I've got the hand down, I get a neck stretch, which could gently, does it, creep into your ear. You can lift the chin a little bit more. And you can also tuck the chin. So you're just supporting yourself to have all of the generalized soft movements and as and when something feels good. So if you stop and there's a little pinch or something's not right, you can flow through it or you shift your position and you come out. So again, neck might be a place you might feel that. Hip might be another. And again, I'm just going to walk back. So we'll leave the head and neck alone for a moment. But I might be able to just gently lean in this time. So obviously we would be bump dependent whenever I give you a movement, but you might soften in, you might walk round, and again, you might walk back. So perhaps you are lifting the chin again. Just be careful when sort of throwing the head back, ease yourself. You might hold the foot that's back here. You might hold the knee. We haven't done this one yet. The gentle, soft rotation or a static hold, excuse me, and you're going to gradually just flow. So it will start hopefully to feel a little bit freer, a little bit easier, and then I'm not saying they're quicker transitions, but you might end up just freeing up. So I might be able to reach an arm through, I might be able to sweep back here, I might be able to sweep over. So you're going to feel a little bit more confident to open up the body and listen to it. So I'm doing exactly the same for me. Yes, I'm teaching you and I'm guiding you, but my body is speaking to me here. It's telling me that yes, something's good, or please gently back off of the movement. So find a place that's just going to work for you to stretch those arms now, lengthen the lines, increasing the stretch as we get familiar. So I'm just doing a sweep side to side. And then we're actually going to come around with those feet coming in front. So I'm just going to walk it around, put my feet in front, and I'm just going to shift back. But if you need to shift back and actually sit your back onto something, so you've got a sofa or you've got something else at home, or you need to pop your cushions in, please do. And again, think about the posture. So try and lift yourself out. I've got the hands planted behind me, and I'm just going to lift. To be honest, if you're very tight through the wrist, simply pushing the heel of the hand into the floor and lifting up. So I'm just sort of, that's me on the fleshy part of my bottom. When I lift up, I end up being sort of on the points, those little sitting bone points. And then here, hopefully, if you can flex those feet, you'll get the response in the calves. When you point away, it's the same. You're going to stretch and release the calves. You're going to have to use your thighs. And then I'm just going to sort of pump these legs. I'm just pressing them away. Just move a little further back. So you could be a little bit in and not realize that you're kind of arching or putting pressure on the shoulders. So lift up whilst you're doing it, and you can actually put a little bit of extra pressure in the same or the opposite hand as you push. And if you can see, I'm very gently moving my shoulders. They end up coming along for the ride with this alternating press. And if you're forgetting the pull back, pull one even further back and do your switching as you see fit. So trying to use your breath here, thinking about lifting up from the base of the pelvis, lift out through the crown of the head, and on the exertion, so whichever you find the hardest or you get the strongest response from, stretch-wise, that will be your exhale. You could breathe in and have a proper pause where neither are in the zone of stretch, and then push on the exhale. And then if it's been a little much, you can always sort of bring the feet up and you can just rest and you can wiggle because it might have been too much for the wrist, but this open position could be helpful. And we're just going to wiggle and roll. And then we're going to swap to the other side and come back to these legs in just a moment. So we're going to remember which side we've just done that hybrid position. So for me, I've now got the other legs tucked behind. You can see the flexed foot, but maybe you're better off having a pointed toe behind. Flexed foot, you could put pressure on to kind of stabilize yourself, but maybe you're going to get cramp, I don't know. And then here, it's wherever makes a comfortable position. So possibly you want to put it higher up. I find that I actually pinch a little in my hip there, and that knee's way up in the air. So I'm going to bring mine in and just feel that that sort of lifts me up a little bit better. I might feel a bit lopsided, but I'm doing the same as you guys. I'm listening to my body. So same as the first time, but obviously you've got a little bit more range of movement. So it might not be as easy on the second side. It might feel much easier or freer, and you might know, so you've got that kind of muscle memory and your brain knows what's coming, that you're doing these nudging movements, you're doing some rolling. Perhaps you're already getting down in a position that you didn't even touch upon on the first side. And that will absolutely naturally happen. You could build confidence already to have a little sweep going on. Perhaps you want the lean back and a little extra layering up for the opposite side. Again, try not to sort of just drop for the sake of dropping. I'm trying to reach up and gently arch back. You have to be careful of our lower backs, obviously. So lifting, putting that pressure in the heel of the hand, rising up, and then another angle happens. So the lean back will happen. Now it might well be time to drop into some rolling of your head and getting into the neck. And this might come with a slight movement of the hands. You don't have to lean back the whole time. You might sweep, so you might hold the knee gently and sweep over here. That definitely gets me behind the ear. It may or may not be the same. If you need a nice big drop or a little turn, be careful of swinging the head round too speedily. And we're just going to ease into whatever's going to make sense for you. And as I said, you might, and it'll be bump dependent, lay a little further forward. That could be a lower back stretch. You could reach right in the center. We didn't really do this with both hands on the other side, but if you had one hand in front and gently pull, if you have one hand the other way, you'll know as I give all the different options, they're going to resonate with you or they're not. So we can have more side bending perhaps. Sorry, the lich on the way through. And go over the top, and then gentle sweep, so you can turn those palms up and out, so you could pull the thumb back, you could reach in, we could have a nice stretch up, you can rotate the wrist and wiggle up whilst you're out there. You could gently hold the thigh and do a similar sort of thing for the other side. And then here we are just going to again put some weight behind you and just set our legs out in a nice strong stance in front of you. Again, cushions have come with you. You know what you need for your body. Lift up if you didn't do it last time, a little bit stronger. So you're sitting from the base of the pelvis. You've got this lovely posture. This is Dandasana, the staff pose, but now we can repeat some pumping of those legs, or just take them out a little wider and have some nodding side to side. Even further, actually. So this is a very classic place to be wider as well might be comfortable, but any movement through the ankles are going to be really positive for a response through your calves. So you're going to take your time, breathing in, and gently does it, wiggling, shaking, loosening off, breathing in, breathing out. Nice, beautifully synchronized movements are always kind of the norm for a yoga or even a Pilates class. So just remembering your breath. If it feels like it needs a little bit more help, pop the exhale with it. I'm just wiggling and then I might just gently shake. So from here, just lift up. I'm just going to come forward a little bit and come into a natural position and a stance here for a butterfly pose. You might like them further out, those feet. You might need them a little closer. You might just want to stay here without any movement whatsoever, because this in itself, you're going to find that nice equilibrium for a stretch through the inner thighs. And if you need it, little extra pressure, elbows down into those inner thighs or inside the knees. And you can see, I've just gone straight away into some gentle rocking. And the rock could have a little press. It has a little press, or it might feel like a pulse. Again, with the head and neck. And onto the second side. And these are all things that you can repeat at any time, breaking them down in their own individual poses. So butterfly pose could change the angle. You can have those feet a bit closer. You could feel if I went to the toes or the ankles and just sort of pushed myself forward a little bit, that ends up stretching our back. And you gently slide. I call this a seated cat-cow when we undulate the spine, but we just round and release. So it's not that I'm softening and arching the back, I'm just kind of lifting out of it, as it were. And that's natural to lift the chin with you as well. So breathing in, might be a nice inhale up, exhale as you roll. And just taking your time, as always, with the response that's appropriate for you. And then from here, we're just going to pick a side and just bring yourself round. So it's onto an all fours position. When you're in the all fours position, exactly the same as you've just been doing. Some undulating movement, some tuck and release. So flat back is a good place to pause and to start from as well. And then we're going to tuck. And I'm doing the minutest of little movements because this is the first time we've been on all fours together. But if you're finding that response is really good and strong in a positive way that's really helping you, perhaps you add the element of hold. So we always want to think, nice strong box position, flat back starts you off, you inhale, prepare, and you exhale to create the rounding. So if you want to tuck the tailbone under more, you want to tuck the chin in, you want to hold that stretch, please do. And then you soften and you get to pause. So taking the time to find a rhythm that's working for you. And obviously, once again, you will be bump dependent on the range of movement that's going to be available to you. So you breathe in, you exhale, you inhale, you exhale. Taking a rhythmical approach is you putting that breath with your movement. So nice breath in, breath out. And then we're just going to open up those knees, ease yourself back down, sitting into your child's pose. So press it back, drop it down, ease yourself in. If you'd like to do a coming in and coming out option, you may not want to do the whole thing with the wide leg. You might like more of a parallel, but it's either. You stay where you are. You could sit back and be up higher like I am here, or you could sit back and hold with the head in the heel of the hands. But anything goes for what's comfy for your inner thighs, your pelvis as a whole, and you can gently walk where you are as well. So I could walk to the side, I could walk up, and I could walk over. So you're going to know immediately the response from your body in a particular position. All I'm doing is walking my hands down, Maybe I come onto the elbows for the center. Maybe I can do a very similar version to the side, but maybe I can't. Maybe that range of movement isn't there for me. So I haven't gone really far away from my body. I've kept it a little closer, but gently drop. So you might like the up high, keeping the head up, keeping you feeling a little, you can feel a little dizzy perhaps when you drop down, but either moving or static, but wherever you are, maybe find a comfortable position and pause for me and have a nice big deep breath. Feel that breath opening up the back of the body, just sensing like if you have your partner, your birthing partner with you in labor, in this position, on an all fours or in a child's pose, just gently massaging and pressing their hands down the length of your spine and all around, just radiating around. It's a really nice extra layer of help and sensation that can ease you and calm the senses. So take a few deep breaths here in your child's pose. And then as and when we are ready for moving, we're coming up, back again. So if you're in the child's pose, ease yourself back up. You could sit back on the heels and have the parallel with me, or we're going to go straight ahead and go into the all fours. So in our all fours position, I'm just going to walk my hands both to the left-hand side to bring my right foot forward to actually come onto that thigh. So if you've got here and it's not comfortable, sorry, should have said, pop something under your knee. The same is true. We don't need you leaning either forward, back or side to side as yet. Just kind of stick with it. And you're just going to breathe into the tall posture. So here, just gently sweep that top arm over. I'm just going to come to face here actually. Let me come more on my mat. So coming to that kneeling position, coming to a nice gentle sweep over the top. So this in itself, if you're feeling a little unsteady on this leg, you might need or want to have a chair or some support next door to you that's not just your leg. So you might need something sturdier to come over and be towards. But wherever you are, you may be gently pushing that hip out a little bit, and you may be arching a little deeper if it's appropriate. And this is always going to be on the exhale breath. Breathe in. Breathing out, breathe in, breathing out. Lovely. Pause it there to pop the hands down, to walk that foot back, cross across the body and swap yourself to the other side. So that foot is planted. My shoulders, you might feel a little lopsided. Just feel like you are bringing, like if you readjust your clothes, but bringing those shoulders up and just gently you use that back glute to ever so gently push the hip forward, just so that you feel secure. This leg might actually need to go further out, and that's okay. For me, I'm just going to keep it in the parallel for right now. Hand is on the thigh, not really the knee, as in try not to grip it. And then we do some very soft ones. So a barely there for the reach over the top. You're coming in, you're coming out. And then as and when you creep into a little deeper side bend, your torso goes with you and so does the gaze, and the head goes over a little bit, and then that pushing out the hip happens. And it's a nice big deep breath. You breathe in, you breathe it out. You take your time, and if there's the element of hold, pop that in as well if you want to. I'm going to do one more here. And once again, we sit out in this open space. We put our hands down, and we're just going to sit back onto our knees, on our knees and onto our bottom. And we're going to roll, just sort of gently puffering up the chest. You're gently rolling those shoulders, keeping the elbows tight to the body and just opening the chest. We'll do the last one here. And then the same idea, just pop the hands behind you, lifting up. Once again, using the chin and the movement of the head to release tension in the neck if it's appropriate. Then what we're going to do is come up to standing and just have some really nice movement along the same lines, but in more of a lunge position or a warrior position. I'm just going to spin to the side to show me coming up. So tuck those toes, ease yourself in, plant those feet, and then as and when you're ready, you might need that extra support of popping those hands onto those thighs. So as you're now here standing with me, you can have the legs zipped up. In pregnancy, perhaps you're much more secure with a parallel or slightly wider. And we're just going to do some pelvic tucking. So I'm going to soften these knees. I'll come to the side so you can see that they're soft. And then before we get into those lunges, those warriors, we're just going to undulate again down to the very base of the spine. So this is my neutral. I might find that you are tipped forward or back in pregnancy, and we do get that lordosis, which is the creeping in of the extra arch to the back. So here we are trying to help work your lower abdominals and a nice pelvic tucking movement. So you're actually feeling baby and bump tip with you. And you're also here for the lower back. So working the glutes, working those abdominals, the lower abdominals, just where baby is sitting sort of in, it's right in your pelvis, but you are tucking and releasing, and it's all on your exhale breath. So I'll just come to the side again. So breathing in here, you might be there in pregnancy. I'm not overly exaggerating it, but you might be. And then you might have quite a big tuck in the opposite direction. And actually, to be honest, you might have a hip flexor stretch here because you're stretching those thighs and you're tucking the tailbone under. And if you can see, that straightens my legs. They would be straight up here if I straighten the legs, but the soft knees, the tuck ends up straightening them and maybe stretching them, which is a added bonus as well. So keep this rhythm going. Keep the exhale breath working with you. And it's a nice big tuck and a little mini release. So keep going. Just about kind of 3 more. We've got 2. And last one. Lovely. And then as I mentioned, those warrior or lunge position with some sweeping legs, with some moving arms. And it's the balance challenge again, because you've got an unsteady surface of having one leg in front, one behind. So decide where you are. I think it's quite nice to have the hips level and then take a big step back and press into that heel, because we might as well have an extra layer of calf stretching here. And then I'm looking at you, so I've got to keep my hips facing forward. And this in itself, if that hip is tight once more, putting the heel back and just feeling like the rest of the torso is lifting. So here is soft, might get that calf stretch, but it's kind of, I'm tickling at it. It's kind of a soft version. So the minute I push that heel back and I get my shoulders back and I lift from the very heel, but I lift out from that knee and through the hip, I get the hip flexor stretch. So this is a nice place to kind of come in and out of. So you can soften the knee and just sort of tip forward, and then you can push back and pull up if that's appropriate for you. Same arm as leg that's back is doing your up and over. So if you needed that extra support, pop a chair or hold on to something like your cabinet, or you're in the kitchen, and just hold on to something to sweep towards. I'm going to pop my hand on hip. You could have hand on thigh. And again, if it feels like those legs are too narrow, go even wider and step back and feel that that is a strong base. So you don't have to, when I'm telling you to get into something, you don't have to stay put. You do what makes sense for you. But we're just sweeping through and up and then arching away. So you're keeping that back heel down, and you may or may not just ease yourself further over the top. So it's a very soft sweeping arm. You are taking your time to add that extra little layer of hold if it's appropriate. And we're going to do 2 more before we swap and do the same on the other side. So last one, let's see if we can hold this one just a little bit more, and then you can just pop hands on hips, step yourself in, and we're just going to take a little second. I readjust myself, but you're just going to take a little second to just sort of wander around with floppy, soft posture before we push into that heel. So you could just shift the weight on the legs, you can roll around those wrists, you can gently roll the shoulders, then pick the other side again. You might be together, step a little bit wider, then you go ahead and step back. All the same options are available to you. If you want, and it's great and you're there, just keep that heel digging in. It's super strong. You could lean forward to only have calf and take the hip flexor away, or you just bring that torso up. They can be the minutest of little tweaks. So I've just dropped those shoulders back. I've got a little bit more of a proud chest. My gaze is up. The heel is pushing down, and I get a bit of everything. I get that calf, so I can still push that calf a little bit more. Push into that heel, dig it down, And then here again, lift up. And you might find that by lifting the torso, even just by a slither of a movement, lifts baby out of your pelvis, and you too can have the subtle changes that I'm talking about for that hip flexor. So hands on hips, on the thigh, on an extra support, and we're very straightforward sweeping. So again, like when we were kneeling, and the other side, this first side, go ahead and sweep without a whole lot of lean going on. As and when you're ready, you end up pushing that hip out a little bit, just like when we were kneeling, and it comes a rhythmical movement. It comes, if it does, it does. If it doesn't, do not worry. Whatever's coming natural to you, the same as it is for me teaching you and my body responding, you will find something maybe I'm not even talking about. Maybe you're okay for holding now. But let's do maybe one more here. Lovely. Then pop hands on hips for you to step out. I'm just going to walk back so that you can see my arms a little bit more, my hands. But what we're coming into now is a little mini variation of a standing. So when we're standing like this is Tadasana. So it's a heavenly stretch to the ceiling. So you're reaching up, or heavenly stretch wherever, a stretch up to the ceiling. And then you're going to take yourself on a little mini side bend. So if you feel secure, you can zip up those legs. Sometimes when you zip up the legs, you can include the pelvic floor, you lift up through the glutes, you lift up through the thighs, and it feels strong. I'm not saying that's for everyone. You might prefer a slightly wider base. You might prefer a softer knee. You do not have to do exactly as I tell you to do. You're going to listen to the body. I will do a zip up, and then I might do that other option in a moment. So I'm going to lift up, squeeze my glutes, and just have, again, a bit of stretch with the hip flexors, because I've told my body we're going tall. So interlace hands or just holding. So I'm just going to bring those arms up, interlace them, and gently does it. I go one way. If you'd like to come down to come up, you push out and you go over. And that's just that little bit kinder for your shoulders. So you're just sweeping in. But each time you're presented with that next stretch and that next pull up to the ceiling and above the head, you might, well, get into a deeper version. So I am going to continue to release those hands, sweep them, pull them, and lean them. And then on the next one, we're going to try, stay up there and do a side to side. So here we are, one side, center, breathe in, exhale. We're going to do one more each side, center, over you go, center, last time, and then be coming out as you come back. Lovely. And then let's part the legs. And maybe you just want to lift up and give a little wiggle. And again, you might need to hold on to something, but a little wiggle and a little extra rotation. And to be honest, you could actually tuck those toes. So doing a heel raise, yes, you're going to work the calves, but you end up pushing into these feet and just kind of stretching the toes a little bit. Doesn't hurt doing a little bit of something here. Mobilize the very lowest part of the body, where we are going to take all the weight when we're standing and walking. And then we're just going to have open and closed arms. We're just going to open into a wide plie and kind of a really nice chest stretch. So you can have it from a parallel position. Again, you don't have to be totally zipped up. You could be apart and have the parallel legs. But you're just going to step, if you want to step into a side lunge or a little mini lateral movement where one leg is straight and one is bent, perfect. But all we're going to do is think whatever you're going to do, whether that is a squatting position or it's goddess pose in yoga, might come from here with a little turnout, and you might want to lean in and step, or you might be fine to step and drop. So that's the classic goddess pose. It would be the prayer position, but I'm just going to add our open close arms. So if you want to keep them soft, or you want to have stronger straight arms pulling you, kind of decide and play around with these legs. So parallel for me, I might do a lateral lunge, then get into the goddess or the wide plie. So I'm going to drop and just open here. Breathing in, breathing out. I'll do it to the side as well. It ends up being a little, again, of pressing chest forward and opening. I need to move to go to the other side. So we go one way and the other. We soften center. We are stronger when we come out. If you want to have A palms up and a bent elbow you can do. So I'm just doing a nice little step side to side. Breathing in, breathing out. And then we'll take ourselves into that goddess. So if you're okay with this, I might actually have the palms in. Little, I suppose ballet-esque this is, isn't it? But everything crosses over. But you don't have to have the turn out. But I'm just going to open up, center, open up. And then we will end up coming into a goddess pose for a holding element in a moment. So I'm putting equal pressure. It's not a hugely wide position, but I'm putting equal pressure in the feet as I come down into that squat position. And I might just loosen those arms. You could just float them behind. You can bring them in, bring them out. So it's very floppy arms now, just taking the tension away. Breathing in, breathing out. One more. Lovely. I'm just going to bring you into the center. So if you prefer the parallel feet, we're going to go wide and then we're going to bring prayer position hands in, which just means if you want it soft, they're just lightly touching. If you want to activate the upper back, the chest, then you just push the heel of the hands together and it activates the biceps and the chest. So it's quite a nice one if you want it. I'm going to go with the turnout. So a classic goddess would be turnout. You don't have to, you can have the parallel. And then just think about those shoulders. You might lift the gaze. If you're looking down at me, just lift the gaze. Slide the shoulders down, prayer position hands, and you can find a very calm, so not a very deep option, a very calm option for these legs, but try not to let any knees roll in. Keep them both pressing out, tailbone under, lovely good posture. We're breathing in, we are breathing out. So staying here, staying firm, staying strong. If it's in you to have a little extra challenge for those legs, you could slide down just by a slither. Not forgetting all of these beautiful cues. Straight back, strong from within, from the very base of your pelvis. You might have a little pelvic floor lift. You might not. You want to use those glutes. We need to keep those knees out. So breathing in, breathing out. Inhale, exhale. Just stay for one more nice big inhale, one big exhale. And then as you come up, just bring those arms out with you. We're just going to do lift the spirit arms, which all that means is taking them into kind of a V shape. But we'll come from this nice goddess pose, legs, so the wide plie. Please, by all means, keep those legs parallel, those feet parallel to prevent any issues through your hips. And we're just going to slide ourselves down the middle and then bring up that V shape. And you're matching the arms and legs. Keep the chin up, keep the back in a nice alignment. So try not to drop the head and keep lifted out the chest. So I'm looking at you, I'm drawing up and I'm reaching out. So I've got strong lines, it's slow. You're going to slide it down and then you're going to press up. So if I come from the side as well, it isn't this, it's not a standing forward bend. You're just going to slide it down. So I've got a nice straight back, or as straight as I can keep it, and then reach up. So here, you may or may not end up tucking, but use the glutes on the way up. So you're going to breathe in here, and then breathe out. Inhale, it's down. Exhale, up and out. Breathe in here, up and out. We're going to do two more together. I'm just going to stay here. Breathe in, exhale. Last one. Lovely. Just pop hands on hips and walk your feet in. I'm just going to walk around to join you. So again, you might just need to wiggle or shake things out or have a little mini calf stretch. So you have that little warrior position and sit back and sit back. And then if you've got it, we're going to do a nice downward facing dog against a chair. And if you haven't got a chair, then you might have a worktop, you might have a sideboard, you might have a sofa, whatever it is that you've got. I'm going to bring my chair in and just have the downward facing dog that makes sense for you. So downward facing dog would be wider legs if you need the extra space to the hips. It could be more of a parallel. So you can mix and match both. I've got a chair that's got these extra rungs, so I might go down, I might be a bit higher. Same is true of whatever it is your guys are going to be holding on to. but you're just going to walk it back. So you could walk back with the parallel, you could zip them up, wherever is good for you, and you're just gently pushing your bottom behind. I'm going to put mine off of camera, but you know it's there. And then I'm just going to gently ease myself down. If I've gone too far, I can come up and out anytime I like. If I've gone too far back with the feet, just step forward, but the pushback might be deeper and you might actually get a better stretch. You can have soft elbows, head just gently dropping and staying put. You could have a rigid position everywhere where you've got perfectly straight arms, you're pushing back and you're staying strong. And the minute you are hinged forward like this, then you are creating a hammock for baby to be within. So let yourself have that pause, same as when we were in a ball pause position. Let yourself have a pause. If you've got the little rungs of, like I have, you can always come a little lower. I think possibly I have a slight bend in the elbow most of the time. So breathing out where you are, breathing in, nice big deep breath. Exhale. Just let yourself hang here. And if it's available to you, and this might be true that you have to come up first, you might come up, have a little shake, move the body, free up the arms, and then if it's there, when you go down on the next one, you're just gently going to nudge one way and nudge the other and do maybe little circular sweepy movements that end up stretching down in the base of the pelvis but creeping to the side of you. So I'll demo, we'll do it together. So I might lean or press over here. That was my left hip. I might be up a little bit to push back. I might want to come up every time and push back. I might want to lift, inhale, exhale. So you'll decide whether those legs could go wider, whether you come down, whether you hang down to do it. It's all relative. So I'm playing around with a few different options for myself, my body, and to help you to find that same rhythm. So rolling up, lifting up, pushing over is now going to stretch your shoulders, stretch the side of the waist, stretch into the hips, stretch into those legs. If it's there for you, you can always come down again. But if you've gone too far at any point, just come up slowly, walk it in. But find a place now to hold. I'm going to go back to a higher rung and then just hold again. Breathing in. Breathing out. Nice, big, deep breaths. Inhale where you are. Nice, flat back. I'm going to use my chair, just put a little bit of weight in it and then walk myself in, and just use the chair to come up. Lovely. So last and final, we're going to use the chair for a nice deep version of a side bend. So it's like doing a warrior position. It's like doing a supported version of a, what's it called? Half moon. My brain couldn't dig in then. So basically what you're doing is using the chair to create some movement. So we can have it as a supported side angle. That actually might be a nice option. So bend the leg that's going to be closest to your chair. Put the other leg, so it could be behind, it could be in front. I'm just going to try and get mine straight to the side. And then lean in and lean over. And what you can have is a thread the needle here as well. So this is a little bit like side angle. I could go over the top, underneath, and up and out. Over the top, underneath, up and out. Lovely. And in between, just come and have maybe a deeper version of your calf stretch. So a nice little lunge or warrior position. I'm going to turn the chair for the purposes of the camera. You don't have to. But I'm going to come again, bent leg, same side as my chair. And then I've kept those feet as tight as I can in line with each other. And just put it out there, move over. So we're just putting that foot out, and then I'm going to sweep again. I'm going to tuck and thread the needle. And you're always going to have these differences. Something's going to feel great. Another option doesn't give you the same, but you go with the flow and you work out what's best for you. But just grounding through and using the exhale breath to stretch yourself out. One more of this, thread the needle. Perfect. I'm just going to put the chair away. And we're going to come to our final relaxation together. So if you've got it and you needed it first time around, grab the chair, grab the cushion, grab the blanket, grab the extra bits of support. And we're just going to see if you can do a nice slow roll down, again, to undulate the spine. We've just done the side of the waist. We just want to get the actual back of the body and those hamstrings again. So if you've got a mat, come to the back of it, tuck the chin into your chest, let yourself hang. So if you are hanging with the straight legs, you are fine to keep going where you are, or start to soften, You might need to put hands on thighs. You might be there already. Just a little tip forward to release those legs. Step them down, and then I'm just going to come to the camera on this side, but it's coming back onto my hips, back with the split leg position, back on the elbow, and here we go. So you are, again, in a comfortable position that makes sense for you. You could have the legs open. That might be an openness for your inner thigh. You might want the other cushion between you. You might want that top leg somewhere else entirely. You might want it out. There's going to be a position that's going to be 100% sort of perfect one time, and then you're presented with another time, and it's a totally different story. So don't worry. Come into your comfortable position. Let yourself settle where you are, and we're very simply going to take ourselves through those lovely, big, deep breaths. So very straightforward, relaxing, soft breath. If you're able to do it, come with me to close the eyes. Think about the head and the neck, the throat and the chest as our initial kind of place to be aware of how you're feeling right now. You can give yourself that little comparison to when we started the session together to right now. Can you ease yourself down? So can we think about relaxing through the eyes themselves, relaxing that gaze and just gently letting it roll into the body, relaxing through the forehead, relaxing through the temples, soften the cheeks once more, and relax that jawline. I'm sure you're not chatting away like me. So you can keep your mouth closed, and you can let, if it's available, the head be a little heavier on your cushion, and you might have one side that has that neck stretch. But wherever you are, wherever the head is positioned, let it feel that it's a little bit heavier on each exhale that you are presented with. And the same is true for the inhale. Let that inhale really fill the very top portion of us, of the head, of the neck, of the base of the spine. Let that inhale rise. Let it reach out through the crown of the head, and let yourself watch that breath, that pursed lips, just watching that breath. Ease that jawline again. Relax down through the neck, through the chest. Sense there's a gliding over those shoulders, down through the arm line, easing your way to the softness in the palm of the hands and the very tips of the fingers. Relaxing the spine, easing into a beautiful kind of circular motion with the breath, where this breath just hugs you, hugs baby, and you are as one. You are breathing a beautiful rhythmical movement of breath and a sensation of calm. That calm is for you, that calm is for baby, and that calm is washing over the body, easing you down and down towards the hips, towards a beautiful soft symmetry around the pelvis, and gently drawing down those legs, easing your way through the thighs, softly up and over the knees, and sensing that drawing down and down through the calves, easing to the ankles, softening to the toes, and rising again, So letting the rhythm of the breath really sway you through the body. Just like waves lapping against the shoreline, that breath rises up and it falls away, easing you up and taking that breath down and away. Softly, softly let that breath take over the rhythm and the movement through the body. Every single inhale is a fresh, new, beautiful breath. Every exhale, you are expelling that air and softening the body, creating a beautiful rhythm that flows endlessly through the body. Breathing, releasing, inhaling, relaxing. And as and when you feel you're ready to bring that awareness back to your physical body, back to the room, you could wiggle those fingertips, wiggle those toes where you are. You can keep the eyes closed, and from your side lying position, you could gently press into the heel of the hands, keep the gaze low, bring yourself round. You could sit on the heels or you could sit into a cross-legged, and you could still keep the gaze down. You can lift the gaze, and then you could roll those shoulders, pop the fingertips behind you and just give a little nod. It's as though you're shaking the head, but you're just moving the head and neck. And then if you'd like to stay where you are, I'm just going to bring myself to a cross-legged. By all means, you're picking a position that makes sense for you. Lifting up. We're just going to have a little bit of a scoop and a sweep with these arms. So hand on knee or on the floor, and you're sweeping in, pop that hand behind, sweep. Get a little deeper with the rotation. Get a little extra from a side bend, and you're just sweeping those arms, planting the hands wherever you like. I'm just coming to the front now as well. I might push away to the front. I might push away to the front, and I might reach right over the head, and then I'm just going to pop my hands onto my knees, rock and roll, and ease yourself through. Shoulders mobilizing, rolling, releasing, and all done. So namaste. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate you being here. I hope that you enjoyed that. I hope you find a sense of calm. I hope you found the relaxation element enjoyable. I hope to see you on a session very soon. And thank you so much for joining me.